Welcome back. ESPN host Stephen A. Smith is not one to mince words. He's often sparked controversy with his brash, no-holds-barred commentary on hot-button issues. And this week he did it again. Listen to this. Stephen A. said that every black person in America should vote Republican for at least one election. Stephen A. Smith is joining me now. Stephen, who are you trying to send a message to? Republicans, Democrats, African Americans, all of the above?
I'd go with all of the above. That sounds about right, but specifically the Democratic Party from the standpoint that I definitely believe that the black vote has been taken for granted, and primarily the black community is at fault in my estimation in that regard, simply because on one hand, we're giving one party our vote because they've successfully gone about the business of convincing our community that the other party, the Republican Party, is completely against the interest of the black community. And as a result, we've been very transparent in our support. We've boarded hook, line, and sinker. We look at the Republican Party. I'm not talking about every single one of us, of course, but vast majority of black Americans look at the Republican Party as the enemy. We look at the Democratic Party, even tacitly, as our support base, and as a result, we are very transparent in our support for them. So because of it, they have a license to take us for granted. The Republican Party has a license to summarily dismiss us because they believe they'll never get our vote anyway. And then we end up finding ourselves devoid of any kind of representation whatsoever because nobody is really competing to garner our vote and our support. So I said what I said because I wanted folks in my community to stand up and recognize that if you go to a house or you go and buy a car or whatever the case may be, you don't just see something you want and say, I want that. Tell me what the price is and I'll pay for it. Somebody has to flatter you in order to garner your dollars and your support. I think the same should apply to politicians who represent us.
Let me put this in the context of 2016, because I think given the monolithic nature of the African-American vote, a lot of Republicans don't even make the ask. Rand Paul is making the ask. Is there anything that he can say that you think can change this equation?
Well, first of all, he can highlight some of the inconsistencies and discrepancies the opposing party might be throwing in our direction, things that we may not know. That's number one. Number two, one of the things that you need to do as a Republican, particularly if you're running for the presidency, you have to surround yourself with a bunch of folks that look like us and not just you, that look like Hispanics and not just you. Let's take the Hispanic community into consideration, Michael. Right now, it says that African Americans are approximately 12.3% of the population, that it's dissipated from 14.8%, okay? Now, we can debate till the cows come home what the reason for that was. But what is unmistakable and undeniable is that when you look at the Hispanic community, their populace has risen up to over 17%, whereas we have 40 million African Americans in this country. They've got $54 million and 54 million people. And what have we been hearing about ad nauseum for years and years and years? Immigration reform. You know why we're hearing about that, Michael? Because whoever successfully goes about the business of dealing with this matter, immigration reform, successfully in a fashion that the Hispanic community deems favorably to them, you're going to get their vote. Therefore, you're going to lock up a voting block. You'll be in office and you'll have that kind of power. Well, guess what the Hispanic community is doing? They're saying, flatter us. What are you going to do? This is what we need because you're not getting our vote. Yeah, you might vote for them. But in some areas, you might go to liberal route, but in Florida, you might not.
Listen, I'm all for increasing participation. What bothers me about the way that you pitch this is it's as if you're saying, hey, you know, what are you going to do for us? What are you giving to us in terms of bennies if we put
Why would that bother you?
Well, because I don't think we want to be rewarding particular socioeconomic groups, ethnic groups, racial groups. I mean, I don't like the balkanization of our politics. I like what's in the country's best interest, not what's in the best interest of African Americans versus whites versus Hispanics. That's what makes me uncomfortable.
Well, let me say to you that I can respect the fact that you are uncomfortable, but my retort would be is that I am a black man from a black community. And I've watched us suffer religiously, whether it's with unemployment where we're constantly in double digits, whether it's the incarceration rate, whatever the case may be. There are so many things, so many problems. I love everybody. I don't hate anybody. I think that the interest of the country is paramount and should usurp all other interests. But if you're talking to me about my community, I'm going to speak on what's affecting us and how we can alleviate those concerns. I'm not saying I'm not concerned about the country, but I'm saying I could speak more directly to the experiences myself and others from my community have. And that's all. I'm not trying to balkanize anything.
Well, let me just respond one time this way. I certainly respect the historical differences between, us and people who look like us, but you sure wouldn't want me going into a ballot booth and making a determination as to what's in the best interest of the white community.
No, but I do expect you to go into the ballot booth and make the decision about what's in the best interest of you. And so what I'm saying to you is that when I'm talking to black folks and I'm thinking about what's in the best interest of the black community, it's because you are suffering. The country could be prospering. But if black folks have nothing to show for it, and I'm not saying that to be the case, but if black folks are suffering, and we have been suffering for decades upon decades, and we've tried something, one thing after another, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not reaping any results, then what do you expect somebody to do? You're going to address it with the fervor and the directness and candor that it deserves. And that's what I did here. All I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to encourage anybody to vote Republican. I'm not trying to encourage anybody to vote Democrat. I'm simply saying let's not be so transparent in our support for one party over another when that does not appear to be working for us. Force people to flatter us. White folks do it. Jewish folks do it. Hispanics folks are doing it. Why can't black folks do it? That's all I'm saying.
You already know what it is. It's Barbershop Conversations. Hit the subscribe and the like button today.